day 3 of the 10-day nationwide protests, and the country is already taking stock of losses incurred.
And I am Terverr Tyav. Yes, there has been accusations of, by the protesters, of unprovoked attacks by men of the Nigerian police. And the police, on the other hand, have also accused the protesters of provocation.
Some civil society organizations have it on record that on day 1 of the protest, there were 21 deaths. 175 persons were injured, while 1,154 persons were arrested across the country. For now, we do not have additional information indicating that the figures have changed.
And 24-hour curfew has been declared in Kano and Jigawa states. Some other states, such as Nasarawa and Yobe, have imposed dusk-to-dawn curfews in few local government areas, though some of these have been observed in Bridge. But Katsina State has also banned all forms of protests and gatherings in some local government areas. Meanwhile, the Nigerian military has threatened to intervene if the protests continue to be more violent.
Now, some commercial banks in the country are shutting down physical operations. One of the major banks, EcoBank, announced indefinite closure of its branches spread across the country. There are concerns that violent protesters may target financial institutions as the protest continues.
And on State of the Nation this Saturday, we'll continue to bring to you reports and analysis of the protests. Our reporters from across the country will provide live reports and interventions, while a panel of analysts will provide analysis here in the studio, and some joining us virtually. Before we introduce our guests, let's bring to you highlights of the nationwide protests in the last 24 hours.
Running from the police and the DSS inside the stadium, chasing us. We stuck to where they said we should stick to, and here we are. We are still being chased around in our home country like we are terrorists. We feel this should not continue. We don't know whether we are going to be picked up by them or not. I am an asthmatic and I have been tear gassed, chased. I'm losing my breath. But we want to say that as Nigerian youth, we will not stop fighting for what we think is right.
Please, the press, take a look at it.
See, stay there we are, see.
Please, look, why are you standing up? Can't you come there? Or can't you come there? Why are you
Please, stadium, see them that inside stadium, see, Nigeria is a check. Can you imagine? See what they're doing to us right now? Inside stadium, China when we have to protest. See them. This is a country. This is not a country. Can you imagine? This stadium, I better want to say them. They're telling us that we should assess them. Can you imagine? See them.
Well, that was our cameraman there, and the reporter targeted with tear gas canisters as they went to the Moshood Abiola National Stadium to cover today's protest. We don't know why it should be so, considering that that is one of the designated places by government, particularly in Abuja. That is the designated place where protesters are supposed to gather. Why would tear gas canisters be thrown at even protesters, not to talk of journalists who are just carrying out their legitimate duties? Stevie.
Indeed, the handling of the protests in Abuja has left much to be desired. Much later in the course of this program, that crew, the reporter and the cameraman, most possibly, who has just been discharged from the hospital because of the injuries he sustained from the running away from the attack by the police and all of that, will be coming on set to give us an update on what actually happened at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium in Abuja this morning.
Okay, I think it's time to introduce our guests in the studio. We have Jude Imagwe, former NANS president and former President Goodluck Jonathan's aide on youth development. Jude, you're welcome to State of the Nation. You can see what is going on. And let's also welcome Abubakar Yusufu, a lawyer, Chairman League of Patriotic Lawyers and former spokesman of the New Nigeria People's Party NNPP presidential campaign. You're welcome, Abubakar Yusufu.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And Prince Will Okore, public affairs analyst, will be joining us via Zoom. Oh, let's start with Jude Imagwe. Jude, you saw what happened. I mean, this is not the designated place for protest, the Moshood Abiola National Stadium. And you saw how our reporter and the cameramen were running and, you know, with that attack of tear gas. How would you describe that now?
Well, for me, I think it's still quite unfortunate because we have times and times continued to complain with police-citizen relationship and police crisis management skills. I feel in every part of the world, citizens have their right to express themselves. And police has their constitutional responsibility to protect lives and properties. If you take on Thursday when this protest started, up until today, you will agree with me that Nigerian young persons that have found themselves on the street protesting have been organized. They have behaved outside the first day where they left the Moshood Abiola Stadium and moved towards Eagle Square. And you remember they went back to the Moshood Abiola Stadium. Now, some of the reasons why they left Moshood Abiola that day was the fact that they cannot share same space with other persons they do not know also got permit to use that venue with them. And secondly, it doesn't make any sense, either common sense or difficult sense, where you allocate a place for me to come out and gather, and people that are not part of what we're doing are coming there. To insult them more, you saw these people being brought to that place with coastal buses. It means their intention there at that time is already defined. It suggests the fact that they needed to live there. And they left there. Tear gas, a lot of tear gas were expended by Eagle Square. Certain persons got injured. They went back to the stadium. Yes, that Thursday came, yesterday came, and today they are now in stadium. We are not saying that they are not on their way to stadium. They are inside the Moshood Abiola Stadium, and these things are happening. You see, we've been watching and monitoring the protests across the country. Lagos, whom people had expected to be one of the most disastrous places because they were the ones that did the January 2012 protests and the same subsidy issue too. It was like a carnival. The number of persons that trooped out were unprecedented. People still came out in Lagos, but the relationship, now you discuss communication. The communication between the CP of Lagos Police Command and the protestants has been so cordial. And I will give credit to the fact that that is what is still relating to the peace we are enjoying in Lagos. Yesterday, at the venue that was designated to them, the protesters raised an alarm that they saw persons that their faces are unknown to them. The way they are gathered does not suggest that they are part of what they are doing. The CP left his other patrol place and came to join them there. He was there with them up until the last person left that place yesterday.
Yes,
that is professional conduct. He is still also a police officer.
Yes.
So skills, tactics, and management skills is what usually... See, my brother, before you leave your house to protest, something would have provoked you. The duty and the onus now lies in the hands of the man that wants to manage you. Because they say a man that is on the ground is not afraid to fall. Where are you falling to again? you are hungry, you are angry, everything is not working for you. So the slightest of somebody's body language will even provoke you. So I think police, as it is, this report is very ugly. It is not something we should encourage. It is not something we should allow, because if things like this begin to go out, again, it begins to provoke certain other persons that have not even joined this protest.
Indeed. Let's bring in Barrister Yusufu. Can we say that the police have violated the court order? Because the court said protest at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium. The protesters were there, the reporters were there to cover, but they are being shot at. Yesterday, there were even reports of live bullets. Today, the same tear gas.
I hear they are firing live bullets again today. In fact, that was responsible for the
let me
race.
start by endorsing what my friend Magbe has just said. I agree in total, and I wish to add this, that the politicians, our leaders, despite many years of experimentation from 1999 to date, they have actually learned nothing and they have forgotten nothing. Like the bonbons of medieval times. You know the Bonbon dynasty, you know, where they spent 22 years in exile. After 22 years, they came back and they were in a hurry to assume the anarchic past, you know, their privileges and all that. So the historians, scholars will always say that dynasty of the Bonbon, in spite of your 22 years exile, you have learned nothing and you have forgotten nothing. So when I refer to the bonbons, I'm not only talking about the leadership, I'm also talking about the police system, the security operatives and what have you. You should not take the youth for granted. I'm not just a member of the bar, I'm a very senior member of the bar. I am also very miffed at that court order confining protesters to a particular place. Because that order itself runs counter to the constitutional provision of freedom of movement. You know, if you have freedom of movement in the Constitution, that court order is in direct conflict with that constitutional order, and it requires a violent hammer of dismissal, even at the higher court. Be that as it may, you can see the gory sight that is oozing out from the so-called designated areas. It shows that the government wants to put down the protesters ruthlessly. This is not what I expect from, you know, a kind of pro-people's government. What I expect from them is engagement and nothing more pretentious. You discover that they had enough notice that these protests would take place. Indeed, the identifiable head, Deji Adeyanju, very brilliant boy, first class law from Bayes University, has always been the arrowhead. And even the day before the protest started, the IG of police, Egbetokun, engaged people like the erudite Femi Falana, senior advocate of Nigeria, and Ebu Agoroluwa. So it is not true to say that they really had no, you know, leadership, they had no head. That is not to say that the lawyers were actually acting as the head. But, you know, Adeyanju was there. One would have expected them to engage him and really ask, what are they looking for? And you know from inception that what these people want is very easy. You know, the things like poverty, hunger, and disease, or what the late Anikud Akpo Kuti will call PhD. You know, it's very, very imminent. You know, somebody can no longer buy food. You know, only 3 weeks ago, a tuber of yam was 7,000. Today it's about 12,000. And as these people, there's nothing bad in economic recession if leadership can also attune itself to that kind of position. But by the time you ask the people to be lean in their resources, and you are eating like the cows of Bashan, so to say, basically, you know, look at what is happening even in the National Assembly. You know, 70 billion was approved for the purchase of vehicles, SUV. One is 160 million. And you also discovered that 5 billion for the renovation of the Donda Barracks and 4 billion for Aguda House to state. But, you know, some of those atrocious things that will easily anger the youth. I also hear the issue of talking about the youth being irresponsible, in quotes, you know, and being furious. As the poet will say, to be furious is to be frightened out of fear. They're actually furious, and in their fury, they have lost their fear for the elders and their philosophical gradualism. That is not to say that the so-called protest should come should go on unabated. There's no doubt about it that some street urchins, area boys who want to take advantage, to turn the protests into a way of making money and stealing or even vandalizing government properties. The Deji Adeyanju, I know, is not a man of that nation. One would have expected them to have been talking to this boy and some of their leaders, through their lawyers, to be able to engage. What do you really want? Poverty is global. We are trying to do this. Tell them what they are going to do. Concede a lot of grounds to them. And this one will take
place.
It's clear the government. Yes, it's clear the government.
I also saw the Abuja Commissioner of Police on that Thursday, talking with them at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium. In fact, he spoke with the group heads.
Yeah.
We carried it on, live on this program.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they still cannot identify people that they spoke with on that day. But that's, by the way, we will just go to to Niger State. Our correspondent, Zachary Omale, wants to tell us what is happening there. Then we'll come back to this issue. Okay. Zachary. Okay, the NSC, they say commandant for Niger State is with Zachary Omale. Good morning. Sorry, did I say good morning? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. We would like to know how you have been able to protect the protesters in Niger State, because we hear a lot of things coming out from Niger State. There have been alleged shooting, alleged killing. Some allege that about 6 persons died in Terverr local government. Of course, we talked with the police commissioner yesterday. He said there was nothing of such. Would like to hear from you too.
Yeah, actually, there's nothing like that. I was with CP, Suleja, and Terverr. There's nothing like that. We are there. So Niger State is peaceful. Everything here, people are moving about. There's nothing like protest in Niger State.
Okay, your men, in the countdown to the protest, you said, or you were quoted as saying that your men had secured the hydropower installation and dams in Niger State, in Kanji, Suleja, Jebba, and all of that. Are your men still at those locations? We're sure that those facilities are safe.
Yeah, they are safe. I think you are enjoying the constant power supply now. There's nothing like power failure since this protest started, because our men are there. They will be there from now till the end of the protest and the after protest. Our men are well deployed. You can see the impact. There is nothing like power failure up to now. I think you people in Abuja, you are witness to that.
Any form of arrest? Has there been any kind of misbehavior since the protest started on Thursday?
Sorry?
Affected any form of arrest? Has there been any kind of misbehavior, whether by hoodlums or any other party, since the protest started on Thursday?
Well, as far as the Niger State is concerned, there's nothing like that for now.
This commissioner told us... The police commissioner had told us that some persons were arrested yesterday, TV.
About 19 persons.
About 19 persons. Have you arrested more?
Yeah. In Terverr, and we have made some recovery of those materials, some hoodlums vandalized. Most of that items have been recovered. But actually, if you look at the number of people that did those things, they are children, and they are not from Niger. They came across from neighboring states, Kaduna, to be precise. Niger is peaceful. Nobody can protest in Niger based on what is on ground. Development-wise, the governor has done very well. Agricultural-wise, they have done very well. So there's no need of people protesting here in Niger State. They use they are happy with the current development in Niger State. So they are not here to protest. Nobody is protesting. They are happy.
Yeah, about the protest about hunger. I'm not sure there is. You could completely say there is no hunger in Niger State. But then, with what happened in Terverr, will you not say it's failure of intelligence from your men, the police, DSS, and every other security agency, that people will come from Kaduna State to come and burn down an entire local government secretariat, burn down vehicles, and you will now be running after them, saying you are recovering items and all of those. Is that not a failure of intelligence? Were you not prepared? Your men are supposed to even have been at the council secretariat, guiding the fight, because that is the fundamental responsibility of civil defense, protection of public infrastructure.
Yes. Those hoodlums, they came out early in the morning. But the moment we heard about their presence in that place, we went immediately. And then they ran away. So they came earlier enough. Although, we focus mostly on...
Active. You are supposed to be proactive. You are supposed to be there before they come. Like my colleague said, about, gathering intelligence. If you had gathered intelligence, it should have prepared you for the time that they were likely to come in. And you should have been on ground, deterring them from coming in. But you were not there. Does it mean that the NSCDC takes sometimes off while they are supposed to be on duty?
Are you with me?
Yes, I am. Does it mean that you take some time off duty when you're supposed to be on ground? Because if you say, they came in as soon as you heard, were you not supposed to know and be on ground before then?
No. Enforcement. We enforced our men. When they saw the number of people coming, the security personnel, they have to run away. And I thank God, we managed the situation very well there. No casualties. You can see, no death was recorded. Injury, no, it was recorded.
Okay.
So we are on top of the situation.
Okay, so you can confirm that there is peace in Niger State, and that if anybody wants to protest, the civil defense, the police, and other security agencies are ready to provide security cover for them to ensure that hoodlums do not hijack the process like we've seen in some other places. Because the CP, just like you have also said, it's not the protesters. Clearly, some hoodlums, took advantage of the situation. So can we say that anybody who wants to protest peacefully in Niger State can exercise his or her fundamental human right?
Yeah, he's free to do that. It's constitutionally, you are allowed to protest, but don't infringe on others.
All right, we seem to be having a bit of a problem with the audio quality there. So it's aerial interference, or how is it say? Aerial interference. We hope we can get back to him, but then, of course, he has answered most of the questions. But it's a bit baffling. In one breath, he says, as soon as they heard, they went after him. In another breath, he said his men who were there initially were overwhelmed and had to run. That's not a good thing to hear, because we're supposed to have adequate number of men, adequate number of facilities, needed to deter hoodlums from. I guess, I don't know.
Yeah, we just have to excuse him now. Commandant, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate having you on the program.
Yeah, well.
Thank you.
Okay, right now we have our colleague who was out there, our colleague who had canisters of tear gas thrown at them, both himself, our cameraman, and some other journalists. He also says live shots were fired at them. While he's here with us, Oge Ihimekwe, Oge, what happened when you went out? We saw you shouting, you and the cameraman.
Yes, when we got there this morning, they found out that the security operative have sent the protesters out of that venue. So
out of the stadium where they were supposed to gather.
Exactly. So we were there to monitor to see if they are going to reconvene. So we're there monitoring. At the other side, the police, DSS, and the police and the civil defense, they were there at first. So later, it was the DSS that joined them, and then some military men. So by the time they joined them, it was the DSS. They started firing the live ammunition. So we just have to run. Thank God that our driver was stationed at the point that he can easily come and pick us. So he drove to us. We ran. Even my cameraman, he fell. So he sustained injury. He had to go to the hospital to come and take some treatment. So that was when we're calling our driver, please move. They are firing at us. So we were able to get some clip because we were running.
Was there any reason why they would have resorted to that?
Exactly. If you look at the material, you will not see enough of the gathering per se. So we're just surprised. We thought, since we are journalists, a lot of us that were in that place were journalists from other stations, AIT, several other TV stations, and online journalists that were stationed there.
Did you identify yourselves?
I do, yes. I was with my mic.
And the other
Somebody
one.
was carrying a microphone, definitely.
I have my mic with me.
I just had to ask that, just
to be sure.
Yeah. So I was actually standing to even take a report when the DSS mask say move with a gun like this. That was when my cameraman fell. So I have to run.
Would you say that the intention of the DSS was to, stop the protest, to just disperse, let everybody go, let there be no protest in Abuja, because that's the only place that they've been allowed to protest? Is that the plan? Can you say that's
and the journalists, did they not want you to cover anything?
Exactly, because what it meant is that they don't want to see anybody. Because as we were moving in that vehicle, we saw a lot of the truck, of the security men were also moving to the place where we were going. We saw them. So they were
moving to the venue?
Yeah, to the venue. More, at the recruitment of more reinforcement of the security personnel.
Which of the, is it the police trucks, civil defense, army, DSS?
It was just a combined.
Combined.
Yes. So moving to the place for more of them to.
Okay, I'm still baffled as to why innocent journalists doing their work should be attacked. Even the protesters, I mean, it's not right, because they were the ones who designated that point for the protest. Now, at any point in time, did they ask you to move away from that place before they started firing?
There was no information like that.
No communication?
We were there, the police and the civil defense that were there. We were there, they were just watching us. We were in those plans until the DSS arrived. By the time they came, they just move out. Hey, oh yeah, move, just like that. And they started shooting.
Live bullets?
Yes, they started shooting.
I think the DSS certainly owes AIT and other stations an explanation over this action, and they owe the nation an explanation, because if you designated a place by a court injunction for protesters to gather and journalists had gone to that particular place, then there was absolutely no reason why journalists should be in danger while carrying out their legitimate duties at the right place.
It's clear that the government wants the protest to end. The DSS wants the protest to end. Perhaps
They should have gone about it in a more civil and decent way.
In a democracy, clearly this is supposed to, we can say, yes, even the DSS may be a civil authority, but we know that the police are the lead agency in this case. It is when they are unable to handle or manage the situation that you now call in possibly the DS or even the army. That's why some persons were even agitated when the Chief of Defense Staff came out yesterday saying they would intervene. It is the president as commander-in-chief who will say troops move in. It is not the responsibility of a Chief of Defense Staff. But it is what it is. Maybe the analysts will weigh in, barrister could possibly weigh in.
I think maybe Jude should go first before the lawyer.
You see, sometimes when you see people that carries constitutional and institutional responsibility begin to demonstrate institutional rascality, you understand where the nation is, where it is. You asked, before we come to Abuja, you asked the NCDC man in Niger. He reported on live station here that they were told that the people had arrived at the venue. It's negligence of duty. It's serious negligence that has actually pushed us into some of these places we have found ourselves. The Inspector General of Police had been briefing since on Thursday. In fact, on Wednesday, he had a meeting with all the persons that officially wrote that they were going to participate in the protest. As at on Thursday night, he declared that they were all on red alert. Yes. When you are placed on red alert, it means there is a state of exigency.
At any moment.
At any time. So then what it is that as a military personnel, you are not expected to stay without your combat boot and your combat pants. All that you can stay away from is the top, and you must be ready to pick it up at any time. Because nobody is going to call you the second time. All they will just do is to blow big hole in the barracks, and everybody begin to assemble and run to their places of assignment. How can an NCDC man, whose constitutional responsibility first is the protection of government infrastructure and public infrastructure, say that they told them? That is number one, negligence. Number two, he was very casual to say that there's nothing wrong in Niger State.
And
are there alien people living in Niger State? So let every one of us relocate to Niger to know that there is no hunger in Niger, there is sufficient food in Niger, there is adequate security in Niger. Nothing is wrong in Niger. That is what he has just suggested by his language. So there is sufficient food. The same Niger that we both know, the same Nigers that we have friends in, these Nigers that accommodate Nigerians. Come on, don't come to public airspace and lie to people because you want to be very pretentious or economical with the truth. Now, coming to Abuja, it is disheartening to actually begin to state that such kind of thing would have been happening in FCT. But I have not seen the clip that suggests that it's DSS. But the reporter will not tell us what has not happened. So this is a live testimony. However, two things need to be noted. The first is the fact that, first, you took the right of citizens from them by limiting them. You said, yes, you have a right to protest, but we want to restrict your right to this place. That is first an infringement on freedom of movement. They are no longer moving. You have been giving them house arrest. That is what, reducing them to stadium is house arrest. That is number one. These young persons have respected that order, even as invisible as the order is. As invisible is an imaginary order. As invisible as that order is, these young persons have respected this order. It is an insult to suggest that at the venue where the court have restricted these people to, where the court have confined them to, you are now having shooting of live ammunition. I feel clearly, like Madam have said, there is need for the spokesperson of the DSS, who coincidentally have been doing fantastic work in the last days, speaking and reporting what it's time for him now to tell the Nigerian people what really, because they've been accused. There's a clear allegation that they did not say the police, because on Thursday, remember, the Commissioner of Police, FCT, several times engaged with some of the leaders. At one point, he said, we are going to give them 3 hours to be out of the stadium, and after the 3 hours, they will get back into the stadium. That is engagement. There was no breakdown of law on that day in that place. We didn't hear that they shot tear gas at the stadium that day, except the fact that there was an issue on their way to Eagle Square. Yeah. On Friday, these people still converged at Moshood Abiola Stadium on Friday. There was no tear gas. There was no gunshot. And to suggest that today is Saturday, people still came out. And we are now hearing gunshot at the venue officially approved for the protest. It is either they don't want people to come out again, or there is an ulterior motive in that action that have been demonstrated. And it should not be swept under the carpet.
And they don't want the media to carry out its duties. I certainly do not agree with that attack on the media. And the DSS owes us all an explanation. We have Prince Will Okorie, a public analyst. He's on Zoom right now. He wants to weigh in before we bring in Barrister Abubakar Yusufu. So let's have Prince Will. You heard what happened, particularly what just happened at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium to journalists who went out to carry out their legitimate duties, and all other persons who were there at that time at a place designated for protests. What would be your reaction? Yourself. Please unmute yourself, Prince Will. Yeah. Prince Will, try unmuting yourself.
Okay, can you hear now?
Yes, we can
yes,
hear
we
you.
can hear you now.
So what I'm saying is rather very unfortunate. I don't know this oppressive democracy we are experiencing, or Aburu kind of. I call it oppressive democracy, or rather Aburu kind of democracy. I've never seen. So what I'm saying is, I've never seen a society where those who are supposed to protect the people are the people destroying them. For instance, what caused this protest? It was a security issue. What do I mean by that? The issue of subsidy that was removed. The president said that a few people are mismanaging the subsidy. No need to have it. Let them remove it. One would expect that the security agencies would deploy the effort they are deploying to disperse these protesters, to investigate and identify those who got the subsidy. We will expect DSS, EFCC, ICPC, the police to investigate the issue of subsidy in oil industry. We will want to expect the police deploy this effort in the farmlands. The hunger Nigerians are suffering today is because of insecurity in the farmlands. Let the DSS, let the army, let the police come and tell Nigerians the effort they have made to secure farmers in the farmlands. If they cannot secure farmers and Nigerians can't get food to eat, now the people that want to say we are hungry are the people we are shooting tear gas with. While the bandits that are stopping farmers in the farmlands are allowed to remain there. You now talk about looting and the destruction of properties. But those who took the oil subsidy money and didn't manage it well, what they looted is more than what any other person in this country has looted. Why has Akpabio, the Senate president, not organized public hearing on oil subsidy? There should be. Am I being heard?
Yes, we can hear you, but you need to adjust your camera angle and bring down your face so we can see you clearly.
Okay. Am I okay now?
But we're hearing you, so okay? Go on.
Just round up on your thoughts.
Please let me explain a few things, please. There's an angle to this discourse that was not. Hello.
Hey, you go on.
Yeah,
maybe we'll get back to him when we're able to sort out his position so that we'll have a better TV presence on that. While we get ready to join our legal correspondent in Lagos, who's standing by to also bring us an update on what is happening at the protest venue at Ojota. Let's
Freedom Park.
Freedom Park, Ojota. Let's have Barrister Yusuf weigh in on the Abuja incident.
Very well. I was in Lagos, indeed, specifically Ojota, when the protest started. You know, we're one of those who went to check what was on ground and all that. So it was actually peaceful. You know, we also saw the anti-protesters, so to say, heavily guided by the police. They meted, you know, away when the real protesters appeared from the Ikeja bus stop. They marched all the way to the venue. You know, it was well organized. So to start from the deployment of the army, even the president, before he deploys the army, he should also consult the National Assembly. And you do that when the civil police, when they are overwhelmed. But right now, I don't think they are overwhelmed. So the issue of the chief of army staff coming to warn mischievously, impudently, and even sarcastically of his power to overcome all attempt is quite uncalled for. I think the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, will not be comfortable with that warning, because Tinubu is a child of protests. You know, Tinubu, you know, became known.
He's a pro-democracy activist.
Yes. So I think he would not be too happy with that chief of army staff. So
defense staff.
Yeah, chief of defense staff. So you should be talking to him now that he should be civil in engaging the youths. That is the first thing. Secondly, I want to also put on record that the non-participant or non-appearance of the Indigbo, so to say, should not be taken as a question of acquiescence or, you know, of an endorsement of the entire administration. I think they are doing this out of frustration and resignation.
All right, sir. Yeah. Let's just take a break. Our correspondent in Lagos at the Freedom Park is ready now, because that issue that you just raised is one of the key ones. We'll come back to you, sir. All right. Nkoli, what is happening there? Nkoli and Yemi, what is happening in Lagos?
I'd like to tell you.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
I believe you can hear me now.
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Okay, so the situation is a bit tense here now. Many people have actually trooped out, unlike what we saw earlier when we got here in the morning, when we thought the turnout was going to be very low. But all of a sudden, people started trooping out. And this is particularly because the protesters are thinking that being confined here at the Freedom Park will not make the kind of impact they really want to make with this protest. When you listen to them, they tell you that they don't know where in the world that you do protest in a garden, that they believe the garden is supposed to be for love issues, not for protest, that they should be given freedom to move around, to create impact. And they're angry, really, that people that they're even protesting for, some of them, even though it's a weekend, are in their various shops selling and doing all manner of their previous businesses, when others are here protesting for them. So they are calling out on other people who are at home to come and join them. And since they are not coming, they want to go out and kind of create an awareness for people to understand that this protest is for every Nigerian, and it is all about ending bad governance, nothing more. Earlier, we told you here yesterday that the police allowed them to use this particular lane, which is the service lane at the Freedom Park, Ojota, where they were confined to. But today we saw that many of them are actually moving out, and they wanted to go over to the highway, to the major road where other motorists are using. But the police is not allowing them to do that, and has told them that if they go beyond this venue where they are allowed, and the vicinity where they are allowed to use for this protest, they may as well be looking for trouble and an end to this protest. So now the session list appears divided. While some are saying no, we can't be confined here, it is against the Constitution. And I put a word and a question to one of the organizers. I said, if you move beyond this place, wouldn't you be breaking the injunction which says you should just stay here and do your protest peacefully? Well, they said they think that that injunction is not for them because it is in contradiction with the Constitution, that the Constitution gives them freedom of expression, freedom of movement, and they cannot be confined. But the fear for the security personnel here is that if they move beyond this place, they they may not be able to control the number of people that may infiltrate, some with an ulterior motive, probably to loot and maim and destroy people's property. And that is why they want them to stick here and do their protest peacefully. So let me get in one or two people at this protest ground who will be really feeding us into what is happening here at this time. Could you please come close? Okay.
Yeah, I'm Robert Emmanuel Dumont. Yes, from Rivers State, but I'm based in Lagos State.
Okay, so yes. What is happening here today? I can see it's becoming a bit rowdy more than it used to be.
Yes, it's because it's as if, Lagos in particular, is as if things are just moving normally, and we that are responding to the protest is as if we are just restricted and confined to just this place, for amusement's sake or for the fun of it. No, this is organic. Nigerians are hungry, and you can't limit us or cage us to one place. We are not dogs. We are coming here to make impact, and the way to make impact is not to just limit us to this place. We are not holding guns, we are not armed. We just want to lend our voice and to make Nigeria know, and also Lagos State known, that this is for everybody. You can't be selling and going about your businesses as you don't care. Why we are coming out to lend our voice. Now let me be honest. The reason why I came here, today is my first day. I saw it on social media and I started feeling guilty that here risking their lives, and I'm at the comfort of my house, being afraid of dogs or one thing. I said no. I have to come out also to lend my voice as a Nigerian for the fuel subsidy to be brought back, for our borders to be open for Nigerians to eat. That the Tinubu promised us that when he comes into power, there will be agbado, there will be enough beans, there will be yam, there will be food in excess. But right now, people can't afford to eat twice a day. And I'm saying that is the reason why I'm here. Cost of education is on the high side. Our children, are dropping out of school. I'm a school owner. To be honest with you, I'm a school owner. Sometimes these kids come to school without food to come and learn. How can you learn without food? I have to now tell my wife to cook for the children. They can't even pay school fees. And now I'm forced to cook for them, subsidizing my school fees, yet they can't pay. I thank God for the man, Mr. George Umodi, outside the country, that is helping me for the school not to close down. What is the government doing to help young people like us? No loans, no grant for our businesses to thrive. Rather, the public sector that is helping Nigerians to employ them, you are taxing them. Okay, my name is Robert Emmanuel Dumont.
Thank you so much. So you can imagine what is going on here. That's how frustrated Nigerians are and what they are expressing, their frustration at this arena. But you see, allowing them to go beyond this place is also very risky because as we see here, many people have already infiltrated the arena that we don't even know whether they are actually in support of the protest or not. So we have one of the organizers here as well who will be telling us why and what is happening here today. It looks like this place is a bit rowdy more than it used to be. What's going on?
Yes, there's so much energy on ground. Of course, that is expected. Young Nigerians have been gathering here since on Monday. This is the third day of the protest, and they want things to happen. They want their demands to be heard. Their demands are simple. It has been articulated. Reverse the removal of fuel subsidy, reverse the increment in electricity tariff, improve food security, end corruption, end bad governance in Nigeria, improve the minimum wage. Let the legislators also receive the minimum wage. These are just simple demands that young Nigerians who have been camping at Ojota since Monday have been asking. And the energy is high. Of course, it's expected because they have been camping here for 3 days and they've had nobody from the government address them. Mr. President has not sat at the table to listen and engage and even decide to start addressing some of the core issues. Right now, as you can see, there is a People's Parliament holding. The Lagos barricade since on Monday has characterized its gathering with a congress at every point in time. Today, there's a People's Parliament holding, strategizing on how this protest and how the barricade in Lagos can press forward, can get government to engage. So that is why we are here, and that is what is currently happening.
Well, it looks as if the house is a bit divided. Are there people who are anti-protesters who are here infiltrated? Are you getting any feelers like that?
Of course, the House currently has mixed emotions in it. There are people who were not here on Monday, honest Nigerians who were not here on Monday, but they are here today. And they have so much energy. They are in pains. They want to be heard. And that is what you will see. You will see people bringing out different suggestions, people wanting to get their demands heard, people profiling different ways for it to be heard. Of course, we know that there are some infiltration here right now who want to divide this camp. But we are saying that the Lagos barricade is united, and we are going to press forward in our demands as a united people. We are law-abiding, and we have always held a democratic Congress here to decide what happens. We are going to collectively decide what happens. Regardless of the infiltration in this crowd, we are going to press forward honestly and as law-abiding citizens.
So have you jettisoned the idea of moving beyond this arena so that at least you don't go against the court injunction?
I think the Nigerian Constitution grants all law-abiding citizens the freedom to move from any place to anywhere. These people are law-abiding citizens. The question you should be asking is, how much silence can the government continue to keep in the face of the energy here? The government has the solution to this problem. It is time for all governors of our states and Mr. President to address the people. They are not bigger than people. We have stayed there for 3 days, legitimately occupying this place within the ambit of the law. Mr. President and elected representatives must respect the people and do what is right. For a start, they must begin to engage the people.
All right, thank you very much, Zikora. Let's feel the energy right here now. As I step aside, let's feel the energy, exactly what is happening at the arena.
Wait, Nkoli, can you hear me?
Yes, please. Yes, please. I can hear you.
Yes.
I can hear you.
I want to ask, what is the police or the law enforcement agents doing at this point in time? Are they still making entreaties to them not to move out? Are they threatening? What is their reaction to all of this right now?
Okay, they have not actually made any move. What they have said is that they will not allow them to move beyond this point, and the fear is that if they move beyond this point, then even the organizers may not be able to control the crowd and the infiltration that will happen. And of course, you know that in every protest there may be people who have ulterior motives, who want to loot or maim or scatter things or even cause this protest to come to an end. So if they allow them to leave this place, because here there is nothing to loot anyway, it's just the Freedom Park and then probably some parks here, so there is nothing anybody can loot even if they want to. But if they move outside this place to any place where you have people, then they may actually loot shops and all that. So that's why the police is saying stay here, and you are still within the law to stay here and protest. So what the police has done is actually to use their vehicles to block the 2 points. The entrance coming from the K2 area, I believe the camera can get there, so you can see exactly what the police has done to ensure that the protesters do not move beyond this point. Yes, that's the RRS vehicle that you see here with police personnel manning the vehicle, not allowing the protesters to go beyond this point. This is the road going to K2. Then further down, after where the protesters are, you will see the other point, which is the Ojota bus stop, where the police is also manning that point with this kind of vehicle as well, and personnel saying you don't go beyond this point. If you do, you are breaking the law and you may just have an end to this protest. Okay, let's see if we can get in one more person who can talk about what is happening here. Okay, thank you for joining us. What's your name?
My name is, I'm Dr. David.
Okay, so you're one of the protesters or you're one of the organizers?
I'm not one of the organizers, I'm one of the protesters, and I'm a Nigerian.
So what would you have to say about what's happening here today?
Yeah, I'm happy the youth are waking up, because I think this is the right time for the youth to showcase their energy. We've been marginalized for so long, and when we talk about democracy is supposed to be the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. But the kind of democracy that is being practiced in Nigeria is not the democracy that we understand. It's not the democracy that we're supposed to, it's not the one we know. Because as a matter of fact, we are not feeling the pulse of governance. We are not feeling the pulse of this government. The youth are being marginalized. We are being, they made us look as if we don't have life and we are slaves in our own country. But when it is time for election, they come, they beckon on us. After giving them our votes, they are not ready to even dish out the dividends of democracy for us. And we are suffering. I remember in 2012, a pint of Gary was just 250 naira, but now I pay over 4,500 to buy a pint of Gary. I know how much a bag of rice was then, about between 6,500 to 7,000 naira, but now about 78,000 to buy a bag of rice, and that is unfair. And the more we talk about the suffering, the hunger that has united the whole Nigeria, the more some people are there living in luxury, living a flamboyant life. Imagine the amount of money they used to refurbish or renovate the vice president apartment. Imagine the money they used on buying private jet. Imagine the amount of money they used on presidential yacht. It's unfair. You will tell us to tighten our belt, and as a matter of fact, you are living in luxury. Your children are not in Nigeria. They are flying all around. It doesn't make sense. So we are suffering, and that is why we are crying out. This is the thought, and we're not backing down.
Okay, this is the third day and the energy here is still very strong. The protesters are saying they are not backing down. So before I hand over to you, Joe, I want you to also have a feel of what is happening at the background just before we go.
All right, Ali.
Okay, so that's exactly how the situation is and it's unfolding here. So we'll keep you updated as developments unfold. Uju, back to you now.
Very much, Nkoli and Yemi, who is also there with her. Thank you so much. Now, Arista Abubakar Yusufu, you've seen what is happening. Obviously, some persons, more persons were able to come out today, maybe because it's a non-working day. Yeah. And even our correspondent alluded to the fact that more persons may come out today. And we're seeing a really dicey, tense situation in Lagos right now.
I think it's actually very dire, and this protest, in my opinion, is a kind of a pass of a vote of no confidence on NLC that just ended their so-called protest. What is paramount there is that the people are not happy with the stipend they brought back home. The mere fact that these people are still protesting, and they are protesting vehemently with bitterness and all that, shows that the NLC, engagement with the government has yielded no dividend. And that the government, this is the time, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, like we said, who is a child of protest, who has been able to midwife two governors, Vix, Fashola, and the other guy, Ambode. So these are very popular governors. I'm surprised that he's keeping mute. Let's hope that by the end of today, he should be able to address this situation, and the people will not be dissatisfied. I was just trying to say about maybe the non-participation of the Indigbo in the crisis that is unfolding. That is not an indication that they are happy with the system either. It shows resignation. It shows that they do not want to be, part of whatever is going on, having been so disappointed serially. And
disillusionment,
resignation, and dissatisfaction. So what I would say in that regard is that somebody like Nnamdi Kanu in the entire Southeast, even if you juxtapose, if you put the whole governors together, he's more popular than the entire governor put together. So this is the time the president should think of releasing Nnamdi Kanu and let him come and participate in nation building rather than locking the poor boy ad infinitum. So let the president come, because the situation is becoming very dire. Let him come and address the people, and let him interface with the leadership of these protests and come up with what he can do. Nobody wants a magician. Nobody is saying that he can do all these things in a day. But he should show willingness to address these misgivings by the youths. They are quite founded, in my opinion, although they will say, gossip you not a disputarium in matters of opinion. There can really be no dispute. But these issues that they are raising there, they are very germane. Like my school, I'm a member of the Alumni Association, University of Benin. Indeed, I was the president of their student union. The school is closed down because they have been unable to pay electricity bill, put at a staggering sum of 280 million every month. So you cannot commercialize education and you think all is well. All is not well. Let them look for a very good...
You know, we saw on that first day, Governor Fubara of Rivers State coming out to address protesters. And since then, we've had calm in Rivers State. Yesterday, the Gombe State governor also followed suit. Even the governors, do they not also have a responsibility, Judy Mawe,
I'm sorry,
to talk to the people? Because when we say government is both the governors, the presidents, even the local council chairmen. Why? The lady asked a very pertinent question. How much silent can the government continue to keep?
I'm sorry for interrupting you. I think that's a very salient point. The governors are supposed to be the bastion, the borderline between the people and the government or governance. You know, some palliative sent to the states did not even reach the people. It's either the governors are keeping these things for their elections or they so same. So this is the time for Bola Ahmed Tinubu to set up
another. That one will take another program.
Yes, yes. It's time for him to set up a very good commission of inquiry to check out whether those caravan of rice, whatever, actually reached its destination. If not,
all right,
we'll call on them.
I think Mr. Emagwe should answer.
You see, when we continue to say that Nigerian leaders don't learn, they think that young people are disrespectful. When we say leadership in this country is one of our major problems, they'll say one day you will grow old. We are not saying that we will not get old. This protest was avoidable, but it started. Between Thursday and today, the steps that government should and ought to have taken would have also be responsible to dousing this tension. But why I say we don't learn is the fact that Kenya is just somewhere. Kenya is somewhere.
Not too
the president kept quiet. Day one, they were playing. Day two, they thought it was we were coming out for Jamboree. Day three, they thought it was concert. Day four, they felt that we have just gone gaga. It will get to day 7. What then happened? That same government that was silent started begging. The government had disbanded all its cabinet. Should leaders wait till when things get out of hand before they react, or they should be proactive to prevent things from getting out of hand? My dear sister, Sonny Okosu sang Which Way Nigeria. When was that? Which way to go, which way to go, that everything is hard.
I think that was in the
Raskimono came with under pressure, no money, in our pocket, no food. The people, they are suffering, they are dying. African China came with his own. Idris came with his own. Nigeria, jaga jaga, everything scatter scatter. These persons, were they philosophers? Let Fela said the same thing. I say, the same problem that our fathers of yesteryears cried for. These are the same problem that we are still having. Does it suggest that we don't learn, or immediately you assume certain position, you become alien to the problems that you were part of, you are witnesses to before you assume that position? Now, you started by saying something. See, people that speak on behalf of the government should be very careful with the tone of languages they use. Particularly the statement that came from the military chief. It is unprofessional, it is unethical, and it was not needed at this time. If he must speak, he must toe the line of the Inspector General of Police, whom right from Wednesday have been appealing and assuring the protesters that they are going to be adequately protected. That there's another thing that is instructive The lady in Lagos raised it. She said, our right to move on the street has been infringed upon and is fundamental. But again, yes, I've always told people that you have a right, but every right is tied to a responsibility. Every right has a responsibility tied to it. Your right to move on the street should not infringe on the right of the other man to go to his place of work. So they should not bring that narrative of saying that some persons are going to sell their thing, because that is one fear I'm already looking at. Your right to protest should not mean that every other citizen's right should be suspended until you finish protesting. And I want to appeal again. You know, some days ago I was here. I pleaded to the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We did not elect ministers. He appointed them. We did not elect his spokespersons. He appointed them. The person we are going to hold accountable is the President. Now, I suggested that in times like this, there is a reservoir of knowledge that the Constitution had provided, which is the Council of States. I call them the wise men. Why I call them the wise men is that if you have been in power, you may have been blindfolded. If you leave power, you will not understand the mistakes you had made while you are in power. Those are the best persons at this stage to begin to advise. You can pick them all and exclude the ones that have actually cost us where we are now. Because somebody have actually now. The second leg that this protest is still not addressing is the fact that I said from beginning that I was not comfortable with the narration. Why I said I was not comfortable with the narration is the fact that, you see, our governors, they feel very relaxed, as if the protest is about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It is not about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But
the governors will tell you they didn't remove subsidy, they didn't float the naira. No, so the person who floated the naira and removed the subsidy that is leading to the hike in prices should face the issue.
I know the governors will say
they are saying they should reverse. The governors cannot reverse fuel subsidy. They can't reverse floating of the naira. It's the president.
But they can calm the public.
No. He says something that is fundamental and instructive. The problem we are having basically is not that this, in all fairness to him, it's not that the policies are the problem. It's the methodology. The methodology is the problem, because the three front runners in the last presidential election already told us we were going to remove the subsidy. It's the method, the approach to which he has announced it. The second thing is that, you see, the president seems to be like someone that is in a hurry to perform. And being in a hurry to perform, he wants to drive multiple policies at the same time. These policies are heavy on the citizens. They are heavy on us. So you cannot be struggling to buy fuel. Immediately you get to your house, you are struggling to pay the bill. Immediately you want to enter your room, you are struggling to look for what to eat. Immediately you want to eat that, you are looking for water to drink. When you want to sleep, the power goes off again. So all these pressures, see, all these policies are not to be implemented on outer space. They are to be implemented on citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So you can take them step by step.
And spaced out.
Yes, when you remove the subsidy, which was, the manner was unfortunate. The manner was actually unfortunate. I had expected by now, the president would have invited the former president, Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, because the first president that moved about the removal of subsidy was President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan.
2012.
And before he did that in 2012, there were a lot of town hall meetings. There was already a direction to where this subsidy removal will be placed or will be invested in. That was why we had the shopping program, we had the youth in agriculture, we had the UWIN. He also provided what we call grant for researchers. There was already a pathway to how this investment. You remember money was given to NLC for buses and the rest. Several other institutions got theirs. Now, if you now had come on board and you have started with this policy, which was the foundation of where we are now, because after subsidy, before that thing started taking effect, you have removed the subsidy. You find out that things are not going well. You called them. Please, you had an idea of what you wanted to do. How were you going about this thing? What should we have done that we are not doing right? See, leadership has characteristics.
And if the president cannot help himself, perhaps the president needs help at this moment. Can President Jonathan, former President Obasanjo, IBB, all of them that are alive, they are also seeing this protest. Must they wait for the president to call the Council of State meeting? Can't they, on their own, reach out to him? Apart from these persons, we know that Professor Wole Soyinka, for instance, is a very good friend of the president. I'm sure there's protests in Abeokuta. He has also seen it. Can't people like him, even the traditional rulers that he invited to, can't they reach out to him, Mr. President? Because as at yesterday, the vice president represented the president at the African finance ministers and central bank governors caucus meeting in Abuja. And what did he say? He said they are going to push ahead. Push ahead with the fuel subsidy removal, push ahead with the floating of the naira, push ahead with what he calls bold policies of the government. So they are not ready to go back on this. Just like the protesters are also...
let's say they're not ready to reconsider.
Reconsider in the way the protesters are pushing. So there seems to be a deadlock. Can we call men of conscience in Nigeria to rise up and help the president, to rise up and help the country? Because if they sit and wait for the president to call them, perhaps we might just get into somewhere where, because we've also seen the former president, Buhari, the protesters, from reports we have, went to his house in Daura. They may go to Toke. They may go to wherever their houses are to meet them with the issues.
Before he responds, let me be very clear. No former president can call for Council of State meeting.
I'm talking about them reaching out to the president.
Now, number two, I'm getting to that place. Now, number two, logically, we both know, if you don't tell a doctor you are sick, the doctor will not say you are sick. That is why there's this theory that says a problem shared is half solved. If people around the president still gives him that kind of assurance that nothing is wrong, nothing is happening, everything is fine, don't worry, they will fizzle out. After 3 days, these boys will go out. After 4 days, these boys will go out. So don't talk to anybody. Don't even address Nigerians. Don't worry, we'll move ahead with it. Nigerians don't have this temperament to be resistive. We don't have the strength to go on long marathon. We cannot do it. After 4 days, they will leave. Yeah. Some persons may be telling him that. Because you see, you remember that what happened to Ndome, Senator Ali Ndome. Yeah. He said people have caged the president. They suspended him. Yeah. Certain things still happen. So persons, you see, I feel for the president in all sense of honesty. Because I have stated before he became president that General Buhari, what General Buhari was leaving Nigeria with, it will be difficult for anybody to become president without facing problems. And that person must have a very strong methodology to forge ahead.
Well, sorry, we will come to you, sir, but Prince Will is still on Zoom. You know, his data has been reading, so let's hear from him. Prince Will, can you just come in at this point in time?
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to come again. I was trying to say before that Nigeria, the way it's run, is like we allow the root of the problem and look at the symptoms. Leaders will say it didn't start today. But the question we'll ask is, what were the new leaders, what did they do to make that which was wrong in the past not to happen again? In the first place, like I was saying before, was there any probe in an NPC to establish this oil subsidy? Who and who we are taking the oil subsidy? Is it not possible to, before they said they will announce the names of those that received subsidy? Till today, they've not announced their names. And it was said that a few persons, how could a few persons take the resources of the nation and then the whole of Nigerians are suffering? That is number one. I called for a probe. Then the National Assembly, let Senator Godswill Akpabio, who said he'll be sitting here and be eating and people will be protesting. He has the legislative right, going by Section 88 of the Constitution, to convene a public hearing on oil subsidy. Let stakeholders come together. Let us actually know whether there was subsidy and what the amount it was, who mismanaged it, and how was it utilized. Because where we are now is like when government corporations and their industries were sold off because there was corruption and mismanagement. Rather than punish those who mismanaged those things, we now shifted and said we are going to privatization. Funny enough, those who mismanaged them use the money they mismanaged them with and bought over industries in Nigeria. Today we are here. Somebody has embezzled money in an oil industry. Rather than get them and punish them and recover the money, and make Nigerians happy. They are allowed to go, and Nigerians are made to suffer. Who is the looter? The man that took that oil subsidy. And these boys that are going around that are in cell now, why will those people be free? Look at the way EFCC chairman was removed when this administration came. There were people he was probing, he was investigating. Who are leaders today in government? So how can new things come when such people are still occupying position in government? Now, when you look at this issue of insecurity, the police need to explain to Nigerians what effort has the joint security forces that are going about to pursue these youths now like rats, pursuing them as if they're pursuing rats to kill. What effort has been put in strongly, the way they're mobilizing now in the farms, in the agricultural farms in Nigeria, to enable farmers go there and farm and be able to get food for Nigerians to eat. Having said that, there is need to ask, Eagle Square, look at what is happening in Abuja. If I were the president, the first thing I would do is to remove the FCT minister and remove the commissioner of police, FCT. Remove the inspector general of police. Remove them and replace them. Because what they're doing in FCT now, whether we like it or not, there's an adage in Igbo language, they said, the small chicken that is crying is not crying that what is holding him will leave him, but is crying that the world will hear him. Whether we like it or not, international community are watching what is happening in Nigeria. Now, this is FCT. The Eagle Square that you stopped Nigerian youths from entering is where primary election that produced the current president was held. That Eagle Square was where they were sworn into office. Why will you now say that youths that are not armed with anything should not enter Eagle Square? Eagle Square was it not built with taxpayers' money of Nigeria? Now the court document to go to overnight and now confine them to stadium, to stay at the stadium. There are many cases in the courts that they've not given date for hearing. They've stayed almost 6 months or 1 year, no hearing date. But this one immediately has been taken. So in a nutshell, Azikiwe said, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe said, warned Africans not to replace colonial imperialism with black imperialism. We thought that the military should go. But what we are having now is worse than the military. Because where citizens are oppressed, they are not given the opportunity to express themselves. Let me inform you, the deceit in the system is too much. The public servants, the public service is like a team of people who have ganged up to mess Nigerians up. Look at electricity. As we talk of electricity now, they're saying there is subsidy in electricity. Who is implementing the subsidy in electricity?
Your thoughts are, we've actually taken note of your thoughts.
Please.
You have actually taken note of your thoughts.
He wants to land.
I
think you should allow him to land. Okay, just land quickly.
I have not taken more time than the other people there. Please, let me tell you this. Another thing that will bring problem in this country is the electricity sector. The deceit there is too much. In 2020, CBN brought out 59 billion naira for national mass metering program to give Nigerians meter free. How many meters were provided by CBN? How many did the discos give out? But today, every bill a Nigerian is paying, a percentage is for repayment of that loan. How can citizens be made to be paying back loan they didn't benefit from?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
We understand your feelings. Like most Nigerians, the anger you can see, Barrister, your final thoughts. But from what we've heard from the protesters, even in Abuja and Lagos, talking about the confinement, we knew during when Gani Fawemi was alive, to even go to that Ojota to protest, the military will not allow you.
No, but they had Yaba, they had a whole lot of other places in Lagos.
They will not even allow you to go to even those places to protest. And what they're saying is, if they move on the streets, they would have they will make more points and all of that. But there is practically no national TV network that is not hooked on this protest.
I think you may just have just 1 minute to round up because we've run out of time.
Let me start from the governor's viewpoint that they did not remove subsidy, nor did they add to the electricity tariff and all that. That is being clever by half. But the proceeds from this subsidy goes to the governors and it's not percolating to the people. That is one. Secondly, if it's actually true, the vice president was robust about his advice of pressing this issue of subsidy that they are not going to move. I think this is the time the president will disallow or reject his advice, because we are in dire straits. And I will end by saying that good President Tinubu should beware of these advisors, like they would rightly put it. Caesar, beware of Brutus, take it of Cassius. Kononie, Casca, have I on sinner, trust not Tribunus, Marque Metulosimba.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
That's wrong, chaos, Ligaros. So let us
that's the Chairman League of Patriotic Lawyers and former spokesperson of the New Nigeria People's Party presidential campaign, a lawyer, Abubakar Yusuf. Thank you so much for being with us all this while. And of course, former president of NANS and former President Goodluck Jonathan's aide on youth development, Jude Imagwe. Thank you so much. We've totally run out of time. We've totally run out of time.
I just want to appeal to our protesters in the street to continue to remain at where government have restricted them to, because if they take to the street, honestly, they will not be able to guarantee what will happen. And what government want to say is that they are the ones responsible for it. So let them still continue to be law-abiding. Stay where government court order have kept them and continue to protest there. The world is seeing what is happening.
Thank you so much. My name is Uju AJ. Of course, this is where we're wrapping up this the program for now. We may come back anytime. And of course, in the course of our other programs, we will bring you unfolding developments with regard to this nationwide protest. Terverr?
Yes, and TV.